Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're about to get started. If you can find your seats, silence your cell phones. Okay, good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 9th day of May in the year 2022. This is a Jersey City Council caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 4:06 p.m. May I have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Here.
Councilperson Saleh.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Here.
Councilperson DeGise.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman.
Here.
We have all 9 council members in attendance at 4:06 p.m. On behalf of Council President Waterman, in accordance with the New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall. The annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2022, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, October 28th, 2021. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, May 6, 2022 at 4:15 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good afternoon. Well, I just want to go off the agenda just for a bit because tonight is the first cannabis board meeting, and in our presence we have the attorney, Ronald Mandello. Please, Ronald, come and explain to us exactly what's going on. Give us a quick presentation so we can know before the meeting tonight. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate the invitation. My name is Ron Mandello. Is that projector coming down? Yep. Otherwise, now that I'm 61, I cannot see my screen.
Just give it a second and it'll be right down. It's going to make a big noise. Don't get nervous.
Noises don't make me nervous anymore. All right, well, as that's coming down, as I said, my name is Ron Mandello. That is my website, and I represent several municipalities. This is a very useful website. I have all types of seminars, frequently asked questions, and presentations on there. So if you have any additional questions or interest, you can bring up that website and see where we go from there.
I need the mic.
Thank you.
I belong to the New Jersey Institute of Local Government Attorneys. I started getting involved with cannabis with the New Jersey State Bar Association, with the Cannabis Law Special Committee, and I'm co-chair of the Cannabis Municipal Committee and Land Use Committee. I represent Hoboken as the Cannabis Board Attorney, also Atlantic City, and just very quickly, I was a councilman in 2 different towns. I was a borough attorney in a town. For about 30 years, I've been involved with zoning and planning, and I was also a volunteer in Fair Lawn and Kinnelon as a zoning board and planning board member. My son always says this is important. These are my 2 favorite bands. Yes, I'm a Deadhead and the Allman Brothers. It tells me it's important. Okay.
I agree.
All right. Let's see if we can get that back up here. Here we go. What is really important, and there's a lot of miscommunication, but there are 2 types of applications from an applicant's point of view. If they meet certain income thresholds, they can apply for what's known as a state conditional license. We're going to see if they don't meet those income requirements, they're going to have to apply for a regular or an annual license. So typically, the process is you go to a cannabis control board, then the planning board, then the municipal council for a resolution. And you'll see off to the right that that particular applicant can also run a parallel track. They can come to the Cannabis Control Board, they can go to the Planning Board, they can approach the Municipal Council. And what do I mean by approach? The governing body has the final say as to whether or not this particular applicant comes into New Jersey. You must adopt if you're in favor of the application, you must adopt a resolution in support of that applicant. Without that, they will never get a license, period. So, Cannabis Control Board, Planning Board, Municipal Council, I understand for very good reasons that may have been flipped and applicants went to the Planning Board first. It made sense. Those portals were open December 15th and March 15th, and I understand that the city wanted to make sure that applicants had a venue to start the process. Made a lot of sense. You can file that state conditional application immediately. They don't have to wait here. But once they are approved, they have 120 days to get that resolution from you and to have site control. If that fails, their approval for that conditional license falls off the cliff. Very important. Understood?
They can only file the conditional application if they meet the certain income thresholds, correct? If they are precluded from the conditional application, they have to pursue the annual license track. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. The threshold is 200,000 for an individual, 400,000 if you're married. Anything else?
Quick question. So if they went down this road to the planning board, why would those people that went down that road be penalized if that was the road they were supposed to go through, allegedly?
It wouldn't be penalized. It's just flipped. So
They'll lose no time?
No. They have their planning board resolution. Now they're off, and we have a meeting this evening, the first meeting. They're off to the Cannabis Control Board. They're not penalized. It doesn't make a lot of sense because this could happen. They go to the planning board first, and the Cannabis Control Board says, this is awful for Jersey City. They spent all this money with the planning board, and more likely than not, I think this governing body is probably going to go along with the Cannabis Control Board. They are your vetting process, as opposed to you having 50 applications line up and spend a lot of time. Good question, though. Yeah.
The final step for both tracks would be a resolution from the municipal highest level of governing body in that township or municipality, which in this case would be Jersey City, correct? The Jersey City Council would have to approve a resolution for that applicant.
That's 100% correct. And the statute and the regulation says if there isn't a governing body, then whoever the highest official is. I have yet to find a town in New Jersey that doesn't have a governing body, but I'm sure somebody will find it. All right, so this is an important issue or point. Understood? All right, thank you. Let's move along. Okay. There we go. So the state annual application. Cannabis Control Board, Municipal Council, resolution, Planning Board, or at the same time file for the state annual license. Why? You don't need that Planning Board resolution to get past the state, but you need this governing bodies. You can't even file for this annual license unless they have site control and a resolution from this governing body. Otherwise, they can't apply, period. All right? All right, just quickly, so how does a municipality handle this? And this is more for the Cannabis Control Board and certainly the Planning Board. Odor, location, signs, neighborhood impact, safety, making sure they're not selling to minors, consumption on premises, traffic, municipal incurred costs, and then trash disposal. Everybody realizes this important issue, the 2% that you get from these cannabis establishments. All right, local support. This is the all-important resolution by the governing body. It's a determination that the town has authorized this class, and then a confirmation that if the town has a numerical limit, my understanding there isn't, that it doesn't apply to this applicant. Also, there is a proof of local support from the zoning official. That's nothing more than the zoning official essentially saying, this particular site and this particular location is okay. But the State Cannabis Regulatory Commission needs both of those.
In the absence of an ordinance stating where the tax revenue would go, I know it's taxed at 2% locally at each, I guess, license, for each license. Where does that money go? Does it go into a general fund until the city council would say, you know, what it's allocated towards, or do we have to allocate it towards anything?
Whatever your heart desires.
Okay.
That 2% is yours to figure out what you want to do with it. Okay. Municipal preference. This is interesting, but predominantly for those cities or towns that have a cap. If there is one applicant that the governing body prefers very much so over another applicant, you can do a municipal preference. This is something I want to spend 30 seconds on. Host community agreements. In addition to the 2% that you're able to get, our appellate division said that they didn't have any problems with these host community agreements. What are host community agreements? Well, they are essentially, it's negotiated by the Cannabis Control Board. You don't lose any authority because at the end of the day, the governing body says this is a good idea or it's a bad idea. There are going to be other expenses that you cannot recoup unless you do something like this. We spoke about the 2%. Who's going to audit all of these cannabis businesses? I hope if your CFO is doing that, somehow he's being compensated, or if a third-party vendor is being used, that it shouldn't fall on the taxpayer's shoulders. So this is what a host community agreement should be. So recoup some of these municipal costs. Maybe you speak about employment opportunities, engage the cannabis businesses in education. These are some of the things that it should be, and of course it's up to this governing body whether you even want to go down that road. I would recommend it highly. What is it not? Build me this new recreation center and we'll give you a license. That's what it's not. It's not a money grab. It's not a quid pro quo, but it's a way to recoup some of these expenses invariably you're going to have. I mean, the first day these cannabis businesses open, there's going to be lines around the block. You're going to need additional police presence.
Is this in addition to the 2%?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the appellate division has no problem with it as long as it's reasonable. So, not every business can afford an HCA. Maybe you give the authority to the Cannabis Control Board to say, well, you can negotiate this way with a micro business that's making a lot less money, has a lot less capital, et cetera, versus a multi-state organization that might have a great deal of funds and willing to contribute more. Okay, I'm winding down. Some comments, suggestions, and ideas. Right now, there really is no requirement for some type of site control before the Cannabis Control Board hears the application. At a minimum, there should be a letter of interest from the landlord, signed by that landlord. You need not have a lease because that's expensive, and they may have to wait a year even to build out, but there should be some type of site control. This is something that's near and dear to my heart, and we do it in Hoboken. I'm not saying it's right for Jersey City, but I think it might be. This process should be about due process. We want the neighbors to know what is coming into their neighborhood. How do they find that out? Well, you ask the applicant, or you require the cannabis applicant to notice residents within 200 feet. Is it duplicative of the planning board? Of course it is, but this is important. And they should have notice, and they should be given an opportunity to ask questions and comment on the application. So we actually incorporated that into our ordinance in Hoboken. We were initially asking applicants. Some of them did it, some of them didn't. Now it's part of the ordinance. All right. If you are interested in the host community agreement that you're going to need a change to the ordinance, and again, the negotiation is with the Cannabis Control Board, but the authority always remains here. You may not like what was negotiated on your behalf. You may be very impressed with it, and you may be comfortable with it. The Cannabis Control Board and the Planning Board, they vet and review the cannabis applications, but once again, the final authority remains with you folks. All right. Should there be an appeal process? Because you are going to, in my opinion, have some level of litigation because you got in and I didn't. So perhaps an appeal process before this board or some other board would help mitigate some of that litigation. Letters of support, although it's a fine idea, they were designed for the medicinal facilities, the ATCs. They really have no place in this process now. But they were used strictly for the ATCs. They were typically given by a mayor of a town. My understanding, and I read the ordinances very carefully, I hope, that you're looking for a return to the Cannabis Control Board for a second time. I was somewhat perplexed by that. If you're concerned about these individuals said they were going to engage in hiring local folks from Jersey City. They showed us a beautiful mission statement about diversity, and you want to make sure they're adhering to that. Well, the annual license application will correct those deficiencies because that individual who's issuing the license can say, show me, show me, instead of returning to the Cannabis Control Board. What I was concerned about, Cannabis Control Board approves them, they get state approval, they come back to the Cannabis Control Board. They certainly can't undo what was done before. Okay. Some additional suggestions. So my understanding, there is a $5,000 escrow for professionals, but only for the cannabis consumption area to be used for the Cannabis Control Board. In my opinion, that should probably apply to all applications. I'm not sure why it only applies to cannabis consumption areas. And then finally, perhaps the ordinance can be a bit more specific. What is the end product you want from the Cannabis Control Board? Is it a one-liner that says we approve this and here's the vote? Or do you want a detailed report so you could read what the testimony is and what the conclusions that the board made? Some of this is about alternative treatment centers. I'm happy to send this presentation to you. I don't think it's relevant. Any questions before I pack up my stuff and head over to the other side of town?
Go ahead, guys, questions.
I was
Okay.
going to ask, as the highest governing body in Jersey City, we will probably, and I've already seen this, be faced with 2 applicants within the 200 feet. So what is your recommendation as to how we would go about resolving that in terms of, maybe one would take precedent over the other, or how would we evaluate that from a legal standpoint?
Yeah, so that's the elephant in the room, and I'm not exactly sure how you handle that, but some suggestions would be, once this governing body issues a resolution, there's a pin in the map. That's it. Regardless of what happens at the state, there's a pin in the map. So that's one way to hopefully eliminate that. And the other situation, if somebody does apply after that pin is in the map, they're off to the zoning board, and they roll the dice there.
Okay.
Anything else?
Can I follow up on that? So if the 2 applications come at the same time, right, especially in this first round, obviously I agree, once the pin is in the map, 6 months, a year down the road, it's going to be much clearer. But as we're starting and there's multiple applications for the same area, is there, and is it just at the end of the day something the municipality has to, or we as the governing body have to clearly outline our reasons for preferring one versus another, like a municipality like Hoboken that has caps on the number of licenses?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and they have to be heard, even if they are within the 200 feet, because nobody's got any licenses yet, nobody's got any resolutions, so the Cannabis Control Board has to hear both of those applications. And I'm assuming that one would be heard before the other. I know you're saying they're coming in at the same time, but if application number one gets heard with the Cannabis Control Board and they give a thumbs up, they are now either off to the planning board or they're off to you. So it may fall in your lap and say, we prefer this one over that one for these reasons.
Right. And what are when the resolution formally comes to the council? So I understand the order could vary. You laid out an order, which is planning board, cannabis control board, us, but I know it could vary. What are the legal criteria upon which we can accept or reject an application? And in essence, do we have broad discretion, or are we very narrowly tailored to say if you meet these criteria, you really have to vote yes?
So, these statutes got passed because of home rule, and home rule. There are 566 towns in New Jersey, 444 in California. You're the boss. I don't think you need to have any particular ideas in mind, though you should, as to why you picked A over B, but there's no set scheme. Discretion is with the board.
Interesting.
Anything else? Well, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
I do have some.
Could you just send us, Jujo, get his card so he can send us the email, the presentation?
It is 24/7. Please feel free to give me a call at any time. That's the name
Thank you.
of cannabis. And thank you again.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Greg?
Good evening, President Waterman, members of the council.
Good evening.
I have Directors Shea and Moody here, and that's to speak on the first resolution, which is 22-361, 10.28. This resolution will authorize the award of a contract under GSA to Range Systems for the design and construction of an indoor shooting range at the storage facility located on the DPW complex at 1315 Linden Avenue East. The total amount of the contract is $1,988,817. Some background is, on September 21st, 2019, the city was forced to vacate its previous outdoor pistol range located on the PSE&G property on West Side Avenue due to the property owner's decision to repurpose the property. This presented a serious issue associated with semi-annual qualifications for our 900-plus police officers, as mandated by the New Jersey Attorney General guidelines. Several locations throughout the city were considered to locate a temporary qualification range. However, based on logistic issues and cost, it was impractical to do so. At present, there is only one pistol range in Hudson County, which is operated by the North Bergen Police Department. Due to its limited size and commitments to other departments, this range is not available for use. We presently utilize a 10-port outdoor range under the jurisdiction of the North Arlington Police Department at the cost of $100 per day. However, range time is limited due to commitments of other departments. Proposed location of this range is best described.
1 minute, 1 minute.
You just
1 minute.
let the train go through, please?
I'm sorry about that, Director.
Okay.
What's that noise?
I think you did that on purpose.
It's my fault.
I was on my roll. Yep.
When in doubt, blame it on the clerk.
Blame it on lions.
Okay, the proposed location of this indoor range is best described as 32,000 square foot space station storage facility, which was acquired by the city for the construction of the new DPW complex. With the exception of housing the city's record retention facility, it is totally underutilized. In addition to the indoor range, the facility will include multi-purpose rooms, which will greatly enhance the city's capabilities, provide mandatory training to our police and firefighters related to de-escalation training, responding to active shooter incidents, rescue task force, and other related training. Prior to the closure of our outdoor facility, local police departments and other state and county enforcement agencies utilize this range to accommodate their qualification requirements. As a serious gap exists as to the availability of qualification ranges in the region, this facility would provide a means for law enforcement agency to fully fulfill their yearly qualifications by entering into agreements with the city for fees to be determined to offset the operational costs associated with this facility.
Greg, can I just ask you one question? Can you hear me, Greg?
Yes, I can.
Greg, if you remember, I don't know if you were on the job yet, but we used to qualify down the range down in Caven Point, the indoor range. Right. And they closed it because a couple of the instructors got cancer. And is this going to be properly ventilated and everything to make sure that we have no problems like we had back in the 70s?
Yeah, Councilman, before I came to work here, I dealt with some of the same problems across the river. Yes, this is going to be designed in a way that it can be environmentally cleaned, so that we don't have those issues both for the instructors who work there every day and for the students who come in.
All I got to say is it's about time.
So this will be on, it will be down with deep, where the exact location? Is it where the CDL training used to take place, all the way in the back by ESU? Where's the exact location?
Greg, I'm sorry.
Mike.
As you're entering into the DPW complex, 1315 Linden Avenue, it's the huge, used to be a space station, storage facility, so it's right on the outside of Public Works before you enter into the complex.
Oh, that's, so do we own that property already?
Yes, yes, we do.
Okay, so how long would it take to build out?
Fortunately, we've done a lot of the interior demo already. The facility was previously utilized as a storage facility, individual storage containers, so to speak, with roll-down doors. We've cleaned out the second floor, and we're in the process now, so that's all being done in-house. We're looking at approximately 12 months, 14 months, once this is approved. Range systems will come in, they'll build a modular range, and then the interior work will be completed by internally for the most part, except areas that we can't, HVAC and things like that, but that's all included in the initial cost of the entire project.
And what's the rationale, it says no public bidding, what's the rationale behind that?
It's a GSA contract. There's only 2 companies in the United States that make these modular ranges. It's this one who we've already dealt with when we had the previous outdoor range, and the other one is in Utah. This one is a GSA, General Services Administration, which makes it streamlined. Its prices are regulated. We use this primarily for Homeland Security-related funds, but it's another advantage we have to use for this type of operation, whether it be through co-ops or it's like a government co-op for the most part.
Greg, as I said, thank you. It's about time.
Director.
So I have a,
Okay.
Go ahead, Mary.
so as we are paying another municipality to currently do the training and the testing, will we have the opportunity here in Jersey City to reach out to other municipalities and have them pay us for the same service?
Yes, absolutely. And Greg went over the history real quick. I don't want to take time, but in 2019, we lost our range. The state requires for our police officers to perform as police officers semi-annual training. We got lucky during COVID, and they pulled those requirements and waived them for us. But when they didn't, we had to go pay Bergen County or other municipalities. Now we're going to be able to charge other counties to come in, and Director Moody at the same time, working with Deputy Chief Daly from training, is going to build a big de-escalation point in here, which will also, we already have interest from federal and other state agencies once it's built to come and use it, and we can charge them for that also.
Director, we previously talked about the possibility of doing a temporary range at Bayfront. Do we still need that with this one, or that's done?
No, that's one of the reasons we want to do this, and I want to congratulate Greg's people. They did a lot of work in-house to make it possible. Bayfront, when we looked at the number of people moving in there and the people that would, the noise pollution, the potential lead pollution, it just wasn't feasible.
Would this include a 50-yard range for ESU?
Yes, it'll be fully, they'll be able to do the 50-yard with the smaller targets to simulate out to 100.
Council, I just wanted to emphasize as well, just bringing up on...
You good?
Hello?
We hear you.
Councilwoman Prinzeri's point, if we do have a shared service agreement with some of these other companies, they will pay off the counties, they'll pay off the debt service for the build-out. And as I mentioned to the council prior, and the professionals could obviously answer any questions, but we're also talking about classrooms and de-escalation practices, and it's much more than just the shooting. Of course, that's the purpose of it, but we'll also have other training scenarios within that facility that'll help our police force.
Greg, directors, let's go another step. Let's open up our own police academy and teach our officers here in Jersey City like we used to.
Go ahead, James.
Sorry, can I ask a couple more questions?
Yes, more questions, more
Sorry,
questions.
sorry, it's all right.
Questions.
Sorry, guys. This is just relating to what Councilman Prinzeri said. I mean, do we have an estimate of the annual operating costs of the facility? So how much revenue we're going to need on an annual basis to pay for this?
Yeah, the personnel that run it are currently on the payroll. We have a range master.
Sure.
The maintenance fees, I would say, is the biggest ones will be associated with filters and things of that nature,
Right.
Councilman Bogiano related to. At this stage of the game, it'll be minimal. Plus, in addition, as you know, I oversee the UASI committee. Once we open this up for some of the active shooters, we'll also be able to offset some of the equipment and/or maintenance to the UASI fund.
Got it. Yeah, and then this is similar to what Councilman Bogiano just asked, and the BA, what you mentioned. I know there's been talk about, a police academy. How does this fit with that eventually? Is this totally separate? And then there's been talk about, when you said sort of de-escalation training facility, is this the same thing as that idea, or is this a step, or how do those all come together?
The police academy, Hudson County has a police academy. The state of New Jersey, through their police training commission, wants county academies. I agree with the council person. I'd rather have our own, where we could concentrate on urban policing. But it's a non-starter right now under state government. State government wants county academies. Hudson County has one. This range, Hudson County doesn't have a range. So we would be supporting the county by having a range facility that they can use while we send our people through. So we'll probably cut a deal with them where we get a deal on the tuition, and in return we let them use the range and the de-escalation facilities. But we've got a lot of interest, like I said, from around the state and from federal once we open up. In addition, one thing, we're the second largest police department in the state. Other people are letting us use their range, but they don't have to. We do have to qualify twice a year. We've been very lucky to get support and to get people letting us use their facilities when they're not. But God forbid some of these people, what if something happens to their range? We could really be behind the eight ball. So we really need our own to maintain the police department.
Director, we had the #1 police academy in the state of New Jersey, and Kelly, who was the business administrator, hated cops, and that's why it closed. We had the opportunity, and we still have the opportunity to get it back. I don't care about the county academy. I want, and the cops want, a Jersey City Police Academy taught by our cops here in Jersey City, because our cops know how to do it. I used to bring in cops from all over the country to teach at the academy, and it was a fantastic academy. And Greg, you were one of my students, I believe. Yes, so let's work on getting an academy back here. Forget about the Hudson County Academy.
Okay, any more questions? We got you. Next. Come on, Greg.
All right, the next one, Mr. President, is Resolution 22-361, 1029. This resolution will authorize the award of emergency contract to Landover Cooling Tower Service to perform repairs to the cooling tower at the DPW complex.
Questions?
What happened to the cooling tower?
It's maintenance issues for the most part, Councilman.
Is this going to be an ongoing thing, or is this?
No, this is a one-time repair, and then we'll do internally. Basically, it's filters and things like that that should have been changed that never were.
Anyone else?
22-363, 10-30. Resolution will authorize award of contract to Hague Service Corporation to provide alarm monitoring and inspection services to various city properties. Term of the contracts are a period commencing May 12, 2022 through December 31st, 2022 at a temporary encumbrance of $1,000. Basically, they're monitoring all our central alarms at any of the city buildings. Next one is 22-364, 1031. Resolution will authorize renewal of an open-end contract with Continental Hardware.
Oh, excuse me, Greg.
I was going to ask who's monitoring the buildings now? Is there a monitoring
Hague.
system?
Hague is the company that
Oh,
currently.
so this is just renewal, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
For a one-year period effective April 16, 2022, to provide lumber and associated materials for the Department of Public Works, Buildings and Streets. Total renewal is $295, $753.99, and this is a temporary encumbrance of $5,000. 22-365, 1032. This resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Steadfast Truck and Trailer Repair for suspension repairs at fire apparatus and other heavy-duty vehicles. The total cost of this contract is $38,000.
Greg.
Next is 22-366, 1033. This resolution will authorize the award of contract to Philip M. Cassiano Associations, DBA PMC Associates under the New Jersey State contract to provide mobile radios and associated peripherals for DBW vehicles. The total contract of this total cost of this contract is $237,588. As we upgrade the DPW fleet, obviously we have to include mobile radios. We have some that's been in service 15 to 20 years that will no longer become applicable to our current radio system. So this will give us pretty much all of the vehicles will have the new mobile radios. And the last is 22-367, 1034. Resolution will authorize renewal of open-end contract with Plaza Auto Body, DABJC Incorporated, Diamond Auto Body, and Vavi's Auto Body to provide collision repairs to city vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Greg.
Jay.
Good afternoon. Police Director Tawana Moody. Let's see, I can't see any glasses. 10.9, is it fair to say that's a resolution authorizing payment for claims for Tomahawk?
10.9, go back.
10.9?
10.9, right?
Yes.
10.9,
10.
Resolution 22-342.
Okay. Yep, 22-342. It's 10.9, which is a payment for claims for Tomahawk for our St. John Church. We did a de-escalation there at St. John's, and that payment needed to get paid because, of course, training dates are very important for us to get to, but also it was the availability of the church as well, so that we can make sure, and this is one that we do the de-escalation as well as training for the officers, that we open that up to the community. So that's 10.9. Questions?
Next.
1010 was a resolution that's authorizing the award for Tomahawk for the close quarters, this is the same one with our act coming up, which is the 21st of May, for our de-escalation for the community as well, and this one we're trying to do at the annex. And then this particular one, just for the record, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, just with this one did go out to bid, and purchasing sent it out to 5 different bidders, and the only one answered back was Tomahawk, so it got awarded to Tomahawk, along with the Law Department, really helped me to make sure all of that was taken care of. So we did send it out, only one person sent back, and that upcoming training is on the 21st at the annex, so that we can get that open to the community. So I do need you guys' help there, because it's very important that we help the community understand the importance of de-escalations and when big situations is happening, as well as the officers learning that. We want to make sure the community is doing it as well. And everyone, I know all you guys been a great help. I know a lot of the council people come and all that. We ask that you guys come out and support, as well as get some people from the community. I know Councilman Gilmore helped with me with the one for St. John's, and it was a huge success with that. So if you guys can just make sure, because if the community is out there and they have involvement, they will understand what it is ESU do separately from the regular police officers.
Do we,
You know, can I just ask?
Wait a minute, Rich. Frank is talking.
Rich is a former cop. Yeah, Rich.
No, this is a perfect example why we need a police academy. One is 45,000, the other is 90,000. And if we had a police academy, we could bring instructors in from all over the country for nothing. And it's a shame that we're spending all this money when we could do it in our own police academy. And it's constantly money being spent.
We don't have academy. Let him speak. Frank,
Okay.
we don't have it now.
So
We agree with Rich. Ever since we took office, he was talking about this. We agree with him. Okay, let's go.
we sent this out to bid 5 different entities, and no one else.
No one else responded, so they give them almost about a week.
with him. He's
to
right.
Send it back or two, and they have to send it in writing. Purchasing reached out to me. Tawana, nobody did it, so just send us the letter saying you're okay with it being them. But it went out to bid so that we can make sure that everybody had the opportunity.
And so it's typically about 45,000 per train. How many trainings are we looking to do each year?
So right now, because we have to see the availability of the dates, but we've been doing 2 on each, like 2 with the ESU and 2 as well as the community and de-escalation.
So 4 in total.
4 in total. Mm-hmm.
Do
We
they?
do any training in the schools?
Yes, so it's when the schools leave that part open in availability. So remember, we was at St. Peter's. I think we went downtown, so we try to see who has the open ability and let the kids teenagers be role players as well. It's very important to do
What
it.
about grammar schools? I'm just, because I'm looking at a younger age group, knowing what to do if something happened.
Yeah, we've made it available. We've been trying to get, and if anybody here could help, that'd be great. But we've been trying to get the public school system to work with us more on this. They're a little leery about it, especially with their students. They're more willing to provide volunteer students to do it at other locations. So when we did it at St. Peter's, we had a lot of Jersey City public school students cooperating.
Is there going to, I see that it says 20 ESU members, 10 patrol officers, 15 firefighters, 10 EMS, and are those individuals going to relay that information to everyone else? Because it seems like it's such a select group of individuals. Like, is there going to be a, downstream effects for everyone else?
They're our main participants in this, our emergency service, the people that'll actually be, the 10 officers are higher ranking who have to make decisions, but we bring everybody. We bring every police officers, all the ones working, all the ones Ben Daly gets that are off duty, we bring in. The Sheriff's Department participates, Port Authority participates, Transit, anyone who'd be at a live exercise. But our key players that get graded, that get evaluated, and they can lose their job if they can't perform are the ones listed there.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
That's it for Director Moody with the police thing. I believe now I have several fire and several Department of Communication and Intelligence, tech, I mean. So next would be 10-11, which is an award of a contract to Safeware for the cleaning, decontamination, and inspection of the repair of our firefighting protective gear. It's through Omnia Partners. The only thing here is that it used to be, if any of you who've been doing this for a while, it was U.S. Community Government Purchasing Alliance, and now they call themselves Omnia Partners. But it's the same company we've always used to clean and decontaminate the our firefighting apparatus and our firefighting turnout gear. Everybody knows certain fires, every firefighter has a minimum of 2 sets. Certain fires and certain exposures require complete decontamination and cleaning, or we have to condemn it and go through our insurance company and replace it. Next, 10-12 is a resolution authorizing an award of a contract to Absolute Fire Protection Equipment for the lease purchase of one E1 Typhoon pumper through the Houston Galveston Interlocal Cooperative. Again, for about 5 years, that's who we've been using. We lease to buy. We own them at the end. We shoot for one pumper every year and a pumper and a ladder truck every other year. And then we replace the rescue truck about every 7 years. Done a great job in the fire department lately, probably going to be coming to you and talking about maybe slightly putting more firefighters on for the first time since I've been here. So thank you to the council for all the support you've given to the fire department over the years.
Director, is there any specific place for this pumper?
No, this is a replacement pumper. It'll replace one of the other companies. What we're talking about on the expansion, I don't want to go too deep in this rabbit hole yet, but we're talking about increasing the ability to fight high-rise fires as we get more high-rises throughout the entire city. 10-13, now we're getting into information technology and tech. 10-13 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with Let's Think Wireless. This supports our proprietary computer hardware and software maintenance support services for the Department of Public Safety. There's no public bidding because it's proprietary, and what it is our backup microwave system. In case we go down, the backup system that keeps us going. 10-14 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to AT&T Mobility for wireless devices and services, state contract for the Department of Public Safety, Division of Communications and Technology. That's the cell phones for the police officers, the ones they use to put the wanted posters out, to the Amber Alert that you just heard come over me and Greg's phone, all of that thing. Each officer has one. The reason it's state contract is we get the law enforcement price, which is cheaper than any other phone.
So why
Sir.
don't, because we have Verizon as well for the, I guess this may be more for you, John. We have Verizon for city employee cell phones, because I'm looking at how cost effective would it be for us to have the same carrier across the board?
I think, Councilman, I think it's just that we've always operated separately, the public safety and the city, and we usually get the minimum amount for the state contracts and the co-ops. So it's really the same price, it's just we're diversifying the contract.
Yeah, I don't know legally if we can get this price for non-law enforcement either for other employees. This is their law enforcement price that they give, and they also give us the guarantee that they'll replace immediately for free if it's damaged. But I don't know if they'll, I mean, I'll look into it. It's a good question, Councilman. I'll look into it and get you the answer. But I think we went with them. We usually leverage this pretty well, and I think we went with them because they gave us the rock-bottom law enforcement price here.
Next.
And I think my final one is a resolution for the award of a contract to Millennium Communications that runs all of our cameras for Genetech Advantage renewal for 6 locations throughout the city of Jersey under the interlocal purchasing system. Again, this is Genetech is proprietary, and Genetech is what turns the data, for better or worse, on the camera into images that can be viewed at these locations throughout the city, OEM, Tawana's office, every place that we have them. And I believe I have one that's not in order here.
Yeah, it's 10.42. It's the last resolution, Director.
I thought I had one, yeah. Yeah, Greg covered the others, yes. 10.42 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to AAA Emergency Supply for our self-contained breathing apparatus, parts, and supplies, state contract, Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire. Everyone knows what those are. There are self-contained breathing apparatuses, what allows the firefighters to breathe inside a fire environment. This is the state contract that does the refurbishing and repair and replacement on them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President, President Pro Tempore, members of the council.
Mayor.
Good evening, Council. My name is Khadija McNair, Division Director of Employee Benefits. I have one resolution, Resolution 22-337, item number 10.4. This is a resolution authorizing payment of a claim submitted by Equitable Financial Life Insurance Company of America for providing management employees life insurance services for the Department of Human Resources, Division of Employee Benefits. The total amount of the contract, of payment is $39,507.51. These are for services rendered from January to March. The claims resolution is pending the RFP process, and it's currently posted in Benson. And the new contract is for July 1.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Deja.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Deja Anderson, Division Director for Community Development. This is Agenda Item 10.22, Resolution 22-355. This is for a mortgage discharge for the property at 5 Gautier Avenue. On May 5th, 2006, the borrower executed a mortgage note in favor of the City of Jersey City for a loan in the amount of $14,920. This indebtedness is a deferred payment on a no-interest mortgage. Upon the 10th year after signing this mortgage, it would be forgiven in its entirety. All conditions under the mortgage note have been satisfied, and therefore, the City of Jersey City is obligated to discharge this mortgage.
These are the best resolutions.
Say that again?
These are the best resolutions.
The best ones?
Yes.
Oh, I enjoy discharging mortgages as well.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you so much.
Jennifer?
Good afternoon, Council. I'm here to present Resolution 22-360, Agenda Number 1027. This is a resolution authorizing the award for a professional service contract to Advanced Cardiac Care. This is to continue with the assistance of reviewing the reserve parking applications for handicap parking.
Any questions? Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
John, HHS.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Ed Cho, Acting Director of Food and Nutrition Division, and I'm here with John Hanasek, Meals on Wheels Program Supervisor. We are here for resolution number 22-340, 10.7, resolution authorizing the award of competitive bid contract to Whitson Food Service for preparing senior home delivery meals. Whitson Food is our contractor for past 3 years, and we have nothing but a good experience with them.
Any questions? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Eric?
Good evening. This is an ordinance to expand the borders of the Mcginley Square Special Improvement District, a little to the northeast and a little to the south. I have emailed you a map of the properties in question. I also have hard copies if you prefer that.
Yeah, I just.
I also have a member of the management of the SID if you have more specific questions.
Does Mira approve? Councilwoman
Yeah, so,
Zeri approve?
Lorena, if you and Eric could sort of talk through the process and the timeline and the steps you guys have taken to come up with this expansion, I think that would be helpful for the council to understand.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lorena Loaiza. I'm the Executive Director for the Mcginley Square Partnership Special Improvement District. So we started this process last year. We wanted to expand our current boundaries. It includes 20 properties and 1 industrial property. And I've made contact with all of the merchants. We've had several meetings, special meetings last year and this year. We had different types of mailings, and we haven't had anyone come up to us and say that they're against it. So we have support from them.
So when you have these meetings, they didn't say they was against it, but did they say they were for it?
I'm sorry?
You said that you've had several meetings, correct?
Special meetings,
You
yes.
said no one was against it, correct?
Correct.
Did they say they was for it, though?
Well, the merchants that I spoke to, yes, they were okay with it. They were happy. We even had one industrial one asked to be included into this expansion.
So it's going to include 20 new establishments, and they're fully aware of the SID tax and everything. They're on board with all of that.
Yes.
Lorena, what's the current assessment per linear square foot for properties within the SID boundary?
It's $19.
And for some of the council members who are new to special improvement districts, if you could talk a little bit about what the assessment is, how it's calculated, and the services the SID provides for the businesses within the boundaries of the district.
So it's $19 per linear square footage, and the management, the SAD management, we provide specific services as far as marketing. We help them with the health department, any licensing issues. When I came into this role over 2 years ago, a lot of these merchants were quite afraid of talking to people, and so I've kind of like united everyone through special events, and we just want to bring this to these other 20 merchants.
Lorena, your association has done a good job in McGinley Square.
Thank you. Thank you,
I
Councilman.
think another council person would agree with me.
So I've been on the board now for about 4 years. Most of the properties that are in this current expansion are in the Ward C section of the district. And in particular, since Lorena has come on board, she's done a really great job with communicating out to businesses, making sure they have the information they need, especially under COVID, which was really important and a very big asset to the businesses. I know that the board members are all very pleased with the work that she's doing. And they did not make this move lightly. Like Lorena had said, this is actually probably more a year and a half in the making since they started down the road to do the expansion. And Lorena, do you want to talk a little bit about the conversations you've also had with the tax collector?
Yes.
The tax assessor's office on this, just so the council is very clear that you have done the due diligence to make sure that the expansion can move forward.
Yes, so we originally talked to the tax collector's department and went over specifically with each property that was going to be added. They suggested we added two other properties that are part of those 20 that we're talking about. So we really have done all of the necessary steps to reach out to the property owners, to the merchants, and like Councilwoman Mira says, it's not something that we've just done on whim. We've really thought about it, and I think we're conservative in our expansion plans, and we hope to do this again in the future.
And Eric, thank you for all your help, too.
Which are our plans to expand it even further?
We would, in the future.
He wants you to heights. No, we're only teasing. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions, guys? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul. Russo.
Oh, Russo. Oh, my buddy.
This is all directors and staff. You know.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
I'm here to talk about Resolution 22-357, and it's 10.24. It is authorizing Honeywell International to perform environmental investigation and remediation activities on certain chromium-contaminated sites within Jersey City. So this one, Honeywell already has an agreement with the city to fulfill certain duties with the DEP on these sites. And they already also have an agreement with us, and we're just adding 2 additional sites to a previous agreement that we passed in 2020, because it's the same exact scope and it's the same exact agreement for the other sites. So we're just going to add on these 2 additional sites to let them do their remediation and their investigation.
The term says that it's for 3 years. Is that, so there, 2 questions. They've identified that there's chromium there, yes or no? And then the second question is, do they anticipate it taking longer than 3 years, or is that the average time that it takes to clean up a chromium contaminated site?
So they've cleaned up both of these sites previously. One of them is an adjacent site, so they're just ensuring that nothing has migrated and went into the adjacent site. The other one, PSE&G was doing work on some of their underground infrastructure, and they brought forth soil that raised a flag. So we are just now being cautious and doing additional kind of site investigation to make sure that everything is still closed off and handled correctly. And I think it was 3 years from August 2020.
Okay.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, one
Go
question.
ahead.
There's, Councilwoman Prinzeri and I are just looking through the list really quickly, and I see a site for a SIP in 1 and 9. Is our
Correct.
fire department still down there? And I guess, how does that work with them cleaning up in that area?
So this one was the one that I was saying where it was basically an adjacent site just to make sure that nothing has gone beyond what they knew was chromium contaminated. I'm actually not sure if the fire is still there, but I could check that and get back to you. And it shouldn't affect anything. This is not something that they're there every single day, but they are going there for monitoring wells and access periodically.
Yeah, sorry, Director. For the site here on Provost Street, there's ongoing construction, residential construction right now on the site. How does that how are you working with that construction to do this work?
Sure. So DEP basically dictates the exactly what needs to be done through Honeywell, and we're just allowing Honeywell access onto our site to fulfill their duties to DEP. So anybody that is working there, whether it's PSE&G, development, will all have to fulfill the duties of the DEP.
Can I ask Honeywell what the DEP is asking them to do there? So I know it's not directly pertinent to the resolution, but just to inform us.
Bob Kavanaugh, Waters McPherson McNeil, local counsel for Honeywell. What's actually happened is that with PSE&G, the city sewer lines, anything like that, because that infrastructure, we know that there are various sites around, and you have the list, there are various sites around the city that we either know there's chromium impact or there's the possibility of chromium impact, but rather than go digging up all the city's infrastructure and wreaking havoc, the way it works is it's called the sewer protocol, really. If a pipe has to be repaired or if something's going to be removed, a developer, such in this situation, is doing work, and the ground's going to be opened up, and we have an ability to get in there and see whether there is, in fact, chrome there or not, we can then go in and test it and give the DEP report. If the pipe is actually taken out and the chrome is exposed to where we can get to it, there's 40-hour trained individuals that go in, the chromium is taken out, Honeywell is responsible for the cost of that, clean fill is put back in, and then the pipe or whatever needed to be done can be done.
Got it. So do you have a timeline on when you're going to do that for this work on Provost Street?
The work is actually, I believe, ongoing right now. What happened was, because of our monitoring of all our sites, we realized that the PSE&G was doing the work over for a development that was taking there. They called, we got notified, and that's why we added this to this list. We originally only had site 99 to list, and then we found out about this, we added this. So there's an investigation that's going to take place. There may not be any chrome there.
Right. What's just the timeline of the investigation?
That I could get back to you. I'd have to talk to the engineers on their schedule.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay.
So question in the same vein as it relates to SIP Avenue and 1 and 9. I know, Director, there's a major MUA project that's going to be starting there with the sewer mains there for a long SIP Avenue going all the way up to Romaine. So is this going to affect that work at all? Because I know that that needs to start pretty soon.
No, that again goes, and we're aware of that work that's going to take place. That's where the sewage protocol triggers. The MUA will go in, open up the ground, the 40-hour trained individuals anyway. They'll open up the ground, they'll remove the pipe, and if chrome is spotted, it'll be tested and removed.
Thank you. Thank you. Margaret. Thank you.
Hello,
Hey,
Council.
Margaret.
It's nice to see everybody. It's been a long time. I'm Margaret DeVico from the Department of Health and Human Services, and I have 2 items to present. It's been a really long time since I did this. A lot's happened since then. All right, so we're going to start off with item 10.5 on the agenda, Resolution 22-338, and that's a resolution amending a contract with Liberty Humane Society for the provision of animal control services to reflect changes in the Consumer Price Index. At the previous council meeting, you guys approved a resolution awarding a temporary 3-month extension of the existing Liberty Humane animal control contract so we can put it out to bid. Liberty Humane was negotiating with the Department of Health and Human Services about how much that 3-month extension should cost. They argued that because prices are higher now than they were when the contract was originally negotiated, that we should be paying them a little bit more just to adjust for the price of inflation that's taken place since the contract was awarded several years ago. We agreed to that. So this just reflects a small price increase. It's actually less than 20%. If it was more than 20%, we would have had to go to council for approval. This is just a sign off for just for posterity.
Margaret, I don't know about the other council people, but I get a lot of complaints lately about the Animal Control Center.
We're aware, and that's why we thought it was important to make sure that we have time to go through the bidding process and advertise it appropriately. So we didn't really have much of a choice other than to move animal control services back in-house while we do the bid. It was just better for continuity to keep the contract with Liberty Humane for these 3 months while we advertise it and solicit bids from other agencies.
I'm an animal lover, and I get ticked off with a few things that have gone on.
Yes, I agree. I think we need to really consider finding a new vendor or addressing the issues with the current vendor. Something has to be done.
Yeah, the department's in agreement.
Yeah. Just fine.
I can assure you.
Go ahead, Margaret.
And the next item is 10.6, which is a resolution ratifying the renewal of a 1-year contract with Multimedia Solutions for maintenance of the Healthierjc.com website for the Department of Health and Human Services. Last year, this contract was put out to an informal bid. We solicited a request for qualifications from some different web vendors, and we decided to continue our contract with Multimedia Solutions. And when we awarded that last year, it was a 3-year contract. So this is just renewing that for a second year of the 3-year term.
So for what specific service, this is for the maintenance of the website, the monitoring, what specific service is being rendered here?
So they host the website itself, and they also do maintenance. So if there's any glitches or bugs, we can call them and they'll fix it right away for us. If there's a different service or if there's any editing that we want to do to the website or any changes that want to be made, improvements, adjustments, we can work with them to have them rewrite the code just to make it a little bit more functionally appropriate for our needs.
So, and how much is how much is it annually?
It's not to exceed $31,388, but we never go over $28,800 in a calendar year. It's $7,200 a quarter.
And we can't manage we can't manage this in-house.
Well, we pay them to host the website, so it's not just we're not just hosting it on like GoDaddy.com. It's they like built the website for us themselves. It was built from the ground up, and it was built with a grant that we received in 2014 from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. So we've actually only been paying for this out of the current fund for, I want to say, 3 years, maybe 4 years. But we've been very happy with them. Otherwise, we wouldn't have continued working with them on this.
Now, how are we measuring if this is sustainable? Does it work? Do this website bring more attention to the Healthierjc initiatives or how we measure if it's successful or not successful?
Right. Well, one of the unique features of the healthierjc.com website is that people can actually register as users and go on and add events to our calendar, respond to events that are on the calendar, create a page for their organization so that they can advertise themselves. And so we can keep track of how many active users we have, how actively they're posting, how many events are on the calendar, and any requests that come in through the website. There's a contact us link. So that's managed through the partnership office in the health department.
So where is that data at?
That would be with Marianne Kelleher's team, and I can ask her to get that for you.
Yeah, just to see the volume and the traffic in the website from year to year.
Absolutely. I'm happy to ask that, and then we'll circulate that to all the council.
Okay. Thank you, Margaret.
Sure. Great to see all of you again.
See you. Lucinda, welcome back.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lucinda McLaughlin, Director of the Department of Recreation and Youth Development, and I'm here before you to speak on 2 items. Of course, I left my agenda over here to tell you which items they are. But they are items 10.20 and 10.21. Both deal with maintenance and chemicals for our pools, the Pershing indoor pool and the 2 outdoor pools soon to open up this summer. So we could go in order. 10.20 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Jersey Chemicals for the purchase and delivery of bulk chlorine supplies for various Jersey City pools for the Department of Recreation and Youth Development. These are chemicals that are needed to keep the water clean and sanitary for our constituents that utilize the pool. We solicited 3 estimates from 3 different companies, and Jersey Chemicals was the most financially beneficial to the city. They've also handled this contract for the past 2 years for the city.
Questions?
Any questions?
Go ahead, next.
Next, thank you, Council President. Next is 10.21, which is a resolution authorizing the award of contract to Jersey Chemicals again for the routine and preventative maintenance for various Jersey City pools. Again, 3 different quotes were solicited by the department. Jersey Chemicals was the most financially beneficial for the city, and these are items that, again, we need to maintain safe waters for our constituents.
Sorry, quick question. Does the Recreation maintain the Department of Education pools, the ones that like Ferris and PS16, or are they separate?
We do not, Councilman. The first week that I was serving in this capacity, the Board of Education did approach us and ask if we would be willing to take on some of their maintenance of their pools. Then COVID happened, and we've not returned to either that conversation or of their pools. I think there's maybe 3 pools up and running within the school system, but we have not ventured back into them. There is a national shortage of lifeguards, and you name it. We're working with it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you.
So how many pools do we currently have that they're maintenance in? And how frequently during the summer?
Sure. Well, Councilman, obviously daily there's maintenance performed by our own, not maintenance, but there's daily checks of the chemical levels by our own staff, and we have CPOs, certified pool operators on staff, where they have that certification in addition to like their lifeguard certification. Beyond that, we have weekly checks, the bulk chemicals that are ordered. That's something that's dependent on, like, and forgive me for using terms that I am not a CPO, but I'm getting a nod from Jonathan over there. It depends on bather load, so we need more chemicals. If like there's a lot of oils coming off people's bodies, and if there's a lot of people swimming, we need more chemicals versus less chemicals. If it's really we're going through them not as quickly if it's raining and we have less people. We also require monthly water testing by an outside agency that's required by the state. So those are some things that we, if you will, can't do in-house. And ultimately, when we have things, we have a lot of equipment that help these pools run, filters, et cetera, and when something goes wrong with them, we don't have anyone in-house who knows how to fix that. So that's where we have these routine maintenance companies come in and take a look, and then they try to head off bigger issues for us moving forward.
So, and how many pools?
Oh, sorry, that was the first question. We, right now, we're maintaining just our own city pools. So Pershing Pool, which is operated basically 365 days a year, which is an indoor facility, and then Lafayette Pool, and Pavonia, which will be opening up at the end of this month for the summer season.
3.
That's it.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dinah? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I am Dinah Hendon, Director of the Division of Housing Preservation. I have item 10.23. It's Resolution 22-356. It's a contract with Granicus. This is the company, we've been using them for the last 3 years, that does our short-term rental. We started with them. They were pretty much the only game in town that did this kind of address identification work. And we started with them. We used them for 3 services to start: the permitting, the compliance monitoring, and the address identification. This contract is just to do the address identification. The other pieces that they had been handling for us, we're now doing in-house. So the contract is $30,000, and what they do, and there are now maybe a few other companies that do this. I started talking to one during the year, and they never got back to me, so I think that they're really not. It was the company that was doing our foreclosure registration. They said they were going to venture into this, and then they aren't. So the piece that Granicus does is they do the address identification, and I think I've explained this before, but for the council members that are new, with these short-term rentals, most common being Airbnb, the address is not in the listing. So somebody who is looking to short-term rent in Jersey City will look at the Airbnb website and will get, you know, numerous listings for properties, and it will have a description of the property and even photographs and what it's near, and if it's near the path, or if it's, you know, how different descriptors near a park, but it doesn't actually have the address. And until somebody books that place and it gets to be close to when their booking is, they don't get the actual address. So this makes it very difficult to figure out where these properties, where these short-term rentals are being operated. This company, and now, as I say, a couple of others, they have all kinds of algorithms that they use and study Google Maps, and I'm not sure how they do it, but they figure out as best they can where they think these are operating. And then we then send those properties notices saying that they're not, that they don't have a permit, and we take it from there. Sometimes we get answers back, it's not me, it's my neighbor, or sometimes we get an answer back, it's a landlord, it's not me, it's one of my tenants. But it's really the only way for us to enforce the ordinance is for us to hire a company to do that piece of this work, the address identification.
So this is essentially, so what if anything happens when we find out that these individuals didn't follow the protocol to register the...
So we issue a violation, and then if they don't stop, we issue a summons.
So you issue a violation if they don't stop. You don't give the violation once we find out that they're doing this and they're not registered. You kind of get them a warning.
Exactly. But, and, you know, this is, I'm just going to say, and we're not the only municipality that has problems like this, but we issue the violation. It's like nailing Jell-O to a tree. We issue the violation, they take down their ad. So then we can't issue a summons because they've taken down the ad. Then 2 weeks later, this company, they scour the internet for all of these, on all of these sites, and every 3 days. So now the ad is up again, that's when we issue the summons. As soon as we see the ad up again. We don't then send another violation notice.
I'm just trying to figure out why.
Why they're
And
doing...
once we find out that they're renting out Airbnb units and they're not registered,
right?
Why don't you issue the because odds are there's possibility that the company didn't catch them the first time, the second time, the third time.
I had that order.
You're saying we should issue a summons right off the bat?
If it's in violation, if you get caught driving without a license, they don't say, well, the next time if you don't fix your license, we're gonna issue you a citation. And
Well, we feel like in fairness, you know, because there are, because if certain, and as I say, there are certainly times when it's not that person. It's a landlord and they don't even know that their tenant is doing this. And so then they assist us in figuring out who this tenant is. And then we don't issue a violation to the tenant, we issue a summons right off the bat. So it's just a question of enforcement and fairness in enforcement. We want to give people notice that we caught them, basically. And the violation notice has a copy of their listing. You know, it's like, gotcha. This is you. This is your apartment.
how successful have we been in this endeavor?
So this last year, 2021, we issued 508 summonses. And a lot of those properties, you know, people are taking down their ads and they're doing the right thing. I'm just going to be honest. For some of them, it's the cost of doing business, and they may just continue to do it, and we continue issuing summonses.
So of the 500, if you know, again, you might not track this data, but of the 500 of the out of compliance individuals, how many of them subsequently went and filed for the proper paperwork to host the Airbnbs?
So last year, we issued 112 permits. Last year, we got 112 permit applications. We issued 56 permits. 17 were denied, and 1 was withdrawn. So, and some of them may still be pending, you know, in other words, if they came in late in the year. So we know that there are many more properties out there. You know, this company has identified about, I'm going to say an average of about 400 where they actually have the address a month. And that number has come down in part because of COVID. I think that this whole business kind of shrunk, but we anticipate that it's going to expand again.
Any more questions?
Yeah, Ms. Hendon, can I ask you something?
Off record?
Are you aware of the problem at Grandview Apartments?
Yeah, off record. I just know who's coming.
Yes, in fact, I just had
I got a call from one senior, they're raising her rent $700.
Right,
They
so
have to be kidding, and that has to be stopped immediately.
I had a conversation just today about this because I contacted them. They're supposed to be sending us documentation. They've never filed, they have never registered the property as a rental. I shouldn't say never. We have one registration going back to, I think maybe Jerry Healy's administration. I'm not even,
Because those seniors there are quite upset. I think it's a damn.
I know, and they've been referred to the Waterfront Project, so hopefully, and I am in the process of trying to get documentation from them and get landlord registrations from them. I'm not clear on whether that building is rent controlled, because it may be HUD regulated. But even if whether it's rent controlled or not rent controlled, a judge is not going to stand for a rent increase that's unconscionable. That's the law in New Jersey.
I feel sorry for these seniors.
I do too, and we've given them some direction to get representation, to not sign anything until they're represented, and I am very confident that the Waterfront Project will fight this. So,
Okay.
but I've been in touch, and anything that I'm sending, I think, is being sent to you, Councilman.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. John? That's a shame.
Hello, Council.
Hi, John.
I go by Jack, so when you
Jack,
yell out
okay.
John,
Okay.
it's for me or not. But,
All right.
I'm going to talk about 3 resolutions tonight. 2 of them I'm going to just talk about together. Resolution 1035 and 1036. And this is basically really like a refinancing of existing rollover notes that we have. So one is for $98 million, and the other is $98,430,000, and the other is for $27,440,000. And they are, it's part of our debt management strategy to take advantage, or not take advantage, but just to be proactive in this rising interest rate environment. So we're just taking these rollover notes, which are like, variable rate loans, and we're going to term them out and try to lock in a relatively low interest rate. And so they relate to the 98 million. I'm sorry, they relate to two rollover notes. One was for Ordinance 18-038, and the other was for 21-040. So, and we have two. We're issuing two bonds. These are bonds, and one is non-taxable, tax exempt, which most of them are. But the other tranche is 27 million. That's going to be tax exempt bonds because they are being earmarked for private purposes, namely the Lowe's, Pathside, and this Washington Creative Center. So that's basically, I think that's all I have to say. It's, so one of the things to think about is in this current market environment, the longer term interest rates are relatively flat, but the shorter term is pretty volatile, and that was evidenced about a week or so ago when the MUA went out to issue their notes, and it went up in one day. The rates went up like 80 basis points. So it's like there's some science. There's science to this, and there's a little bit of art. So we feel that the interest rates are at risk of going quite a bit higher. In fact, the Federal Reserve has signaled that. Mm-hmm. So this is just a prudent move. We're not obviously putting all of our debt to this kind of financing, to the long-term bonds. We're we have a good portion of our portfolio is bond anticipation notes, and that portfolio is over the next few years is declining, which is a good thing. That means that because those are the ones that are at risk of if the interest rates go back to the 80s, 70s era rates, that at least they're declining, and we have the option to do something then at that point. So,
what interest rate are we locking in right now?
Well, it was around about 3.145% is what they quoted. Okay. Our financial advisors, quoted.
Is there a reason for us to get variable interest rate bonds, or what's the
It normally rollover notes are a little bit lower, and tax exempt bonds are a little bit higher, but that spread right now is relatively flat, so that doesn't hurt us too much. But the rollover notes normally are a little bit lower, but in this climate, it's variable, and this is just my own personal opinion, just because I was born and raised in this era of substantially higher interest rates, and I can see that happening again. So I just think it's probably a practical move to just to lock in, like the rate 3.1% might be a little bit higher than what a note would be, but over the long term, I'm pretty sure it's gonna, you'll be thanking us.
Absolutely.
Making this move, so.
Where we seem headed, so.
Okay, anyone else? The next one, Jack.
That's it? Okay.
You have 8?
I have one more, 10.8.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think this is more of a formality. I was up here at the last council meeting to go over the audit that was done and the comments related to it. And so I think attached to this ordinance is an affidavit that you folks have, read, or you've at a minimum just reviewed the audit and comments and recommendations, which, I went over with you last time, so, and gave you a summary. It's not like, no one's going to be tested on it, it's just that you, at least we had this procedure, and at any time, any other questions related to that come up, I'm an open door, and I'm always downstairs, so.
So the affidavit that Jack was referring to is something that you guys are going to sign on Wednesday. I'll have multiple copies of it. So as we're conducting the council meeting, I'm going to require your signatures, and it'll be notarized, and it gets signed off by myself, and we send it down to the state.
Great.
And it's an annual thing that we do every year.
Okay.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jack.
That's it. Thank you.
Tanya?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on ordinance first reading, 3.2 for the medical office uses. In the land development ordinance for the definitions, we define office and medical office separately. Right now, those uses are not permitted together. So if you see office in its own and you don't see medical office is not permitted. There are 72 redevelopment plans and or zones that have medical office as a permitted use right now, and only 23 of them permit medical offices. So just by making the small change in the definition, treating medical office and office as the same, pretty much, permitted uses, you're increasing the amount of spaces that medical office facilities can go in by 3 times. In my report, I gave you guys a bunch of statistics. My 5-year-old told me that I talk too much, so I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know if you have any questions. I will say for the record, I did speak with the department director for Health and Human Services and the construction code official, just going over if they had any concerns with this. And so other big cities, when they take care of, or when they're trying to deal with impacts from kind of, I guess, uses, the negative impacts, they deal with them through code issues. And really what we're concerned with zoning is really more of like a capacity issue and an intensity. And so the only kind of negative things, and I use the word negative very lightly, for a medical office is, waste and parking. And those are not very different than office uses. You might have the same number of people driving, walking to an office as you would as a medical. Telemedicine is a lot more available now. And the capacity issues are all dealt with by the building code. And of course, if you don't know, all the waste is dealt with through the health department, through the state.
I'm very glad that you guys did this, Tanya. This was amazing. Good job.
Tanya, any further information on Exchange Place?
It will be on the planning board agenda tomorrow night.
It's not going to be postponed?
No.
They haven't come before the community, and certain people have, it's like unbelievable what's going on. That should be postponed. There should be public hearings, and everybody should be notified. That property belongs to the people of Jersey City, not to these outside people.
Yes, sir.
Shame.
Thank you, Tanya. Take it from the top. I don't have no more slips. I have a visitor, so when we get to 10-1, I'll call him.
All righty. So item 3.1, City Ordinance 22-042 is an ordinance of the City of Jersey City and the County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, authorizing the transfer of certain city-owned real property identified on the tax map of the City of Jersey City as Block 19903, Lots 1 and 5, to the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency. Any questions or comments?
Councilman, just a quick overview on this. I was working with the internal audit department, and we came across, we were taking a look at all of our city-owned properties. And this is actually 3 parcels, but it's basically one facility on Halliday Street. In a weird way, we're still kind of taking a look at it. But we own the 2 ends of the building, and then someone else owns the middle of the building. So we're trying to work with the redevelopment agency to rectify that, and then see if we purchase that 3rd piece, or they're willing to buy the other 2 pieces, just to make more sense. So just an understanding of how would that happen. It's different block and lots that are combined to create this facility, but we don't own the middle one. It's privately owned. So we're just trying to reconcile that, and then we'll come back to council if there's any development ideas, or if we're purchasing it or they're going to purchase it from us.
What's the facility?
It's an industrial. I can get you the name of it, Councilman. Yep.
Okay, there are no second reading ordinances. There are 3 speakers on our agenda, and on to the petitions and communications, items 6.1 through 6.27. Any questions or comments?
Go ahead.
Say again?
Go ahead. That's it. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. Office of Communications, items 7.1 through 7.4. Any questions or comments? Report of Directors, 8.1 through 8.4. Any questions or comments? We have our claims, and on to our resolutions. Item 10.1, City Resolution 22-334, is a resolution endorsing the enactment of Assembly Bill A938, Senate Bill S386, the New Jersey Reparations Task Force Act.
I have Mr. Jean Pierre.
Oh,
Hello, good evening,
sorry about
everyone.
that. Sorry about that. Give me a second. This glare is bad here. I hit that button. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Go ahead, Director.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Council President Waterman, for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you to the Council, New Jersey. I really appreciate being here and saying a few words on behalf of this resolution. My name is Jean-Pierre Brutus. I'm a senior counsel at the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. The Institute's cutting-edge racial and social justice advocacy seeks to empower people of color by building reparative systems that create wealth, transform justice, and harness democratic power from the ground up in New Jersey. And the Institute leads a racially diverse and multi-faith coalition entitled Say the Word, Reparations, that is calling for a reparations task force in New Jersey. And so far, 9 locations have passed resolutions in support of this bill. Jersey City would be the 10th, and it would be the 2nd largest city in New Jersey after Newark to pass such a resolution, and it would be an important milestone. Now, some of you may be wondering, some in this room, some of you listening, may be wondering why New Jersey needs a reparations task force bill to study slavery in New Jersey. Well, New Jersey has a long history and deep involvement with the institution of slavery. It was known as the slave state of the North. Right? Another way of saying that New Jersey's involvement in slavery was crucial or significant is that slavery was mainstream in New Jersey, and now it's time to make reparations mainstream in New Jersey. New Jersey incentivized a system of slavery from its inception by providing white settling families with 150 acres of land, and then an additional upwards of 150 acres of land for each enslaved person that they own. You may say, well, what kind of impact does it have on the current moment? Well, I'll leave you with a number, 300,000. I'll say that again, 300,000. That is the racial wealth gap in New Jersey. The average or median net wealth for white households in New Jersey is $322,500, and the median net wealth for black families in New Jersey is $17,700. And that has a direct line to slavery in New Jersey and its aftermath. New Jersey was the last state in the North to abolish slavery. It was the only state in the North to support the Federal Fugitive Slave Act, and by 1830, 2/3 of the enslaved population in the North resided in New Jersey. After slavery, New Jersey participated in Jim Crow and other institutions that segregated and inhibited black life. One example that I'll give you is that during World War II or after World War II, when black veterans went to go fight for the double victory, for the victory abroad against fascism and the victory at home against Jim Crow, 67,000 of them returned, and less than 100 of them were able to participate in the benefits of the GI Bill, which were so crucial to building a middle class, not only in New Jersey, but throughout the United States. And so what the task force would do would study the institution of slavery, its harms and its aftermath, but also provide policy recommendations that could address these harms, right? It would just provide a conversation at a moment now in our country when there is a anti-democratic impulse to prevent discussions around the history of race and racism in this country, and to provide an important democratic conversation. And so this task force is an important moment, and New Jersey will be the second after California to have such a task force. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and good evening, everyone.
Sean, they, oh, goodness, man. What's wrong with
I'm not even going to comment. All right. Item 10.2, Resolution 22-335 is a resolution urging Congress to include robust funding for affordable housing to address housing instability and unaffordability and to migrate the threat of the pandemic-related homelessness in any budget reconciliation bill.
Any questions? Anybody want to be added on? You could. Good. Next.
Okay. Item 10.3, Resolution 22-336 is a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to accept a gift of an adaptive swing seat with an estimated value of $1,200 from the Hamilton Park Neighborhood Association. Okay. Items 10.4 through 10.12 were covered earlier. 10.13 through 10.15 were covered earlier. On to item 10.16, Resolution 22-349 is a resolution reappointing James McCaffrey as a part-time judge of the Jersey City Municipal Court. Item 10.17, Resolution 22-350 is a resolution reappointing Mark Curtis as a part-time judge of the Jersey City Municipal Court. Item 10.18, Resolution 22-351 is a resolution reappointing Erwin Rosen as a part-time judge, less than 20 hours of the Jersey City Municipal Court.
Sean,
Yes.
I have a quick question. With regards to the appointments, why does it clearly specify 10.18 Rosen less than 20 and everyone is being appointed part-time? So all of the appointments are part-time, but it clearly specifies less than 20 hours for
Judge Rosen.
All right, I'll look into it and get you an answer, okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Item 10.19, Resolution 22-352 is a resolution approving the appointment of Barker R. Patel as Director of the Department of Infrastructure for the City of Jersey City.
Is there any plan to backfill her position when she transitions to this new role?
Councilman,
Are we cloning her,
the
or
PA should
what are we
be
doing?
coming back into the room any minute to answer that question.
Okay.
We'll come back.
If there are any other questions related to the department or the divisions, I'm happy to answer them
You
now.
said we should vote no?
Just in time.
Just in time.
Just in time, John.
John, there's a question from the councilman about if there are any plans to backfill the ABA position.
Still dealing with some COVID. Yes, so we do have a live posting online where we've been receiving resumes. So we're going to do both an internal and external comparison, and then I'll update the council prior to any onboarding or promotions.
Okay.
Stay where she at?
Correct. Personally, I would probably benefit from it, but
Can she hold both roles at the same time?
Barker, is there anything you want to say?
honor. I would just like to say before we give it over to Barker that, over the last year, I've been working with Barker for about 5 years now, and we've kind of grown together in the city. And I really appreciate the role that she's taken on over the last year in the business administrator's office. She's really taken the lead. She's, been conscientious of all of our departments and divisions, and although I'll be losing some divisions, they're in great hands with Barca.
Thank you, John. I'll just say, Council President, just to recap what this department is all about, we're shifting a lot of the functions that were formerly in administration that have to do specifically with the city's physical, environmental, and digital infrastructure, and putting them all in one department, which positions us to do a lot of the significant work for the city's infrastructure, for its streets and parks and municipal buildings and public spaces, all in one place. So we have some of the division directors for those divisions here today in case there are any questions, but really this is sort of realigning the work that was already happening and creating one place where all of that can exist and all the divisions can work closely together. It's a role that I've been in as the ABA for the past year already, which means that in addition to the assistant business administrator functions, I've been overseeing the exact divisions that will now be in the department. And as you all know, there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of funding to manage and a lot of projects to advance. And this is sort of just following best practices of what other cities are doing to make sure we can be as impactful as possible.
Will your pay be increased so that it's commensurate with other department directors? And
Yeah, the way that usually works, Councilman, is the range would be higher than where we're at now. It's the department level of range is more significant than the ABAs. And we do annual evaluations with all the directors to determine additional compensation.
From a technical standpoint, don't we have to amend the ordinance to create a range?
That's a good question, Councilman. I'll take a look at it. Yeah.
I don't think there'll be an issue. I just,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, Councilman.
This is the first time we have in this division. Right, and this is the first woman leading this division. Thank you.
Members, I've really enjoyed working with all of you so much and looking forward to more of that in the years to come.
More to come. They say bike lanes.
My transportation directors are here. They can answer bike lane questions, not me anymore.
Thank you. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. Items 10.20 through 10.24 were touched on earlier. Item 10.25, Resolution 22-358, is a resolution authorizing an extension of a license agreement with the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency for the use of Block 7902, lots 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 45, more commonly known as 693-701 Newark Avenue and 30 Cottage Street, respectively, allowing the city to continue the use of the property for parking. Item 10.26, Resolution 22-359, is a resolution providing for public use of the municipal lot located at 388 Central Avenue.
we just have to make a few amendments to it, but they should be ready for Wednesday.
Okay, any amendments that you're looking to make, Councilperson Saleh, if you wouldn't mind just emailing me so I can upload them and adjust the resolution.
I do have a question for the BA, John Metro. Are we looking to make a satellite council office in the parking authority building?
It's something we'll definitely consider, Councilman. We don't have any plans fully developed yet. We're also in conversations with the library to determine what space they'll be using, as well as HHS with their senior programming. So we'll definitely keep that in mind as we build out.
Would that include
Just because
Ward C and D all the way up at the parking authority?
well, there'd be a council. Well, we don't have any
General office. You could just
Yeah,
make a general
once we get more finalized plans, I'll sit with both council members and we'll discuss.
A little bit more centralized.
you know. This is a building.
Building's there.
I would like one there, just because that's why I was thinking whether 2 or 3 spots, you'd have one for, like, let's say, any council member to use the satellite office in the Heights, So then we designate one for a council member.
Yep, we're still looking at the programming, so we're still in the early stages, but once we get to that stage, we'll include the council in the conversations.
Okay. I'll just throw it in there then. Just, to, put it out in the universe.
Items 10.27 through 10.34, actually 10.36 were touched on earlier. Item 10.37, Resolution 22-370 is a resolution ratifying the award of professional service agreement with Murphy Orlando LLC to represent John Manila, Sean Gallagher, and the Jersey City Ward Commission in the matters of James Calderon and Jersey City United against the ward map versus the Jersey City Ward Commission, John Manila, Sean Gallagher, and the City of Jersey City. Hopefully, this is the first and last lawsuit that you see my name on. Item 10.
Hold on one
I was
second.
going to ask a
Sean.
question.
Yeah, I think, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to what did you get yourself into, Sean? And that's one. Number two, do we have to pay for this? I mean, is this?
Yeah, why is it us and not the Board of Elections?
Peter,
Yes, the Election Commission, the Ward Commission rather, it's considered a subpart of the city and a subpart of it's not the clerk's office per se. Mr. Clerk, you can probably correct me on that.
Can you come a little closer? Only because you're behind glass. There you go. Right there is good.
It is the Ward Commission. It's considered a part of the city. It is not. It's obviously only convened once every 10 years,
Right.
So it's not assigned to a specific agency or an office in the city. Nevertheless, it is a part of the city government, and it will require representation from the city.
Right.
So is it, Peter, is it part of every city, or I guess because it's a Jersey City lawsuit, it's for our city to pay for? Because the Ward Commission, like, they do maps for, okay, so this is different than, I guess, the Board of Elections. This is just the Ward Commission for Jersey City.
Correct, yes, and this only pertains to the 6 wards that were drawn out within Jersey City.
So that same board, do they draw all the maps for Hudson County or just specifically for Jersey? So how exactly does that work?
No, the Jersey City Ward Commission only draws the maps for the city of Jersey City.
Would a council member have to recuse themselves if they publicly supported or were against the map, or what's your take on it?
I think that would be very context dependent. I would have to, if there are any specific concerns, I'm happy to address that. I frankly don't know what public comments were made by any of the individuals on the council. But if there are any specific concerns, I'm happy to address that.
Like, let's say we all hated the map and then, we voted it down and then it goes to court,
Well, then the city does not have a legal defense.
Well, sorry, one question. Could you guys just do it as opposed to going outside counsel, or is there a conflict here?
There is a conflict within the case.
Got it.
It's a conflict.
The conflict is due to the identity of one of the plaintiffs. It is somebody who the law department has an obligation to represent and provide advice to. We cannot be adverse to that individual on the litigation and provide advice to that person.
Is this a minority contractor?
It is not, no.
So, wow, this is crazy. So we have an instance where a group of individuals and entities brought a lawsuit against a particular entity, and then they're subsequently responsible for funding the defense of the lawsuit they brought forth against said entity. That's crazy.
No, it's the city that's responsible. It's not the groups that brought the suit.
No, what I'm saying is we're paying, taxpayers are paying for representation of the individuals and entity, which is the Jersey City Wards Commission and the lawsuit was brought forth by Jersey City residents and/or Jersey City establishments.
I think you could draw that out to if there's a lawsuit filed by an individual who's a resident of Jersey City that requires outside counsel representation, that would be the same philosophical argument, that that person is a taxpayer in the city and that they would abstractly be responsible for, in part, paying for the defense of the
But
city.
you can also make the argument that that person is not a taxpayer. But for the sake of, clarity, it's just everything that's wrong with the current climate of politics in our community, that we have an instance where we even had to get to this.
Are there any other questions?
Who is it that we're legally required to defend, I guess?
Well, the parties here, which are the Ward Commission, and the members of the Ward Commission, and then the city was named as a defendant in one of those suits. There are two suits here that they're not consolidated, but because they arise from the same set of facts, we're assigning them to one attorney.
Got it, thank you.
Next.
Okay. Next, item 10.38, Resolution 22-371 is a resolution renewing the award of a professional service agreement with the law firm of Whipple Azzarello LLC to represent the City of Jersey City, Jacob V. Hudnut, Chief Prosecutor of the City of Jersey City, and Mark Bunbury, former Director of Human Resources of the City of Jersey City, in the matter of Donovan Beezer versus the City of Jersey City.
I believe the first assistant circulated an update on where that case stands.
Okay. Next is item 10.39, Resolution 22-372 is a resolution authorizing the closed session of the Municipal Council on May 18th, 2022 at 3 p.m. to discuss ongoing labor negotiations.
Clerk and Law Department, I just want to make sure that this was broad enough that we can discuss both ongoing contract negotiations like we discussed at the council meeting, but then also the issue of back pay and emergency pay. I just want to make sure we discuss all of that in the meeting.
Okay, I will pass that request along, yes.
Great, thank you.
You should be able to because it's all with labor.
I mean, you're right, it does say labor
Right, it says
negotiations,
labor,
so,
so we should. Thank you.
yes.
Okay. Next, item 10.40, Resolution 22-373 is a resolution approving the appointment of Melinda Rodas to the Jersey City Arts and Cultural Trust Committee. And item 10.41, Resolution 22-374 is a resolution approving the appointments of individuals to the Women's Advisory Board of the City of Jersey City. Item 10.42 was touched on earlier. If I don't have anything else, may I have a motion to adjourn at 6:03 p.m.? I have a motion made by Councilperson Rivera, and I think that was a quick second by Councilperson Solomon. On the motion to adjourn at 6:03 p.m., Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzeri. Aye. Councilperson Baggiano. Yes. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera. And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0 to adjourn at 6:03 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone. And remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night.